Hi everybody. Today is St. Patrick's Day, so we're going to be reading a St. Patrick's Day book to go with it. So the book I picked today is The Luckiest Leprechaun, and I know that's probably backwards on your guys' screen. I'm sorry. I don't know how to fix that. So this is The Luckiest Leprechaun, a tail-wagging tale of friendship, and it's by Justine Corman. Here we go. I'll make sure I hold up the pictures between each page for you guys. Mackenzie O'Shamrock at your service, but you can call me Mac. I'm a leprechaun, and I don't care if you believe in me or not. Get too close, and I'll show you who's real with my hammer. I may be small, but we leprechauns are not to be trifled with. There, now that's settled. Pull up a toadstool or a chair if you're too big, and I'll tell you my story. There's our leprechaun. I was born beneath a fairy hill back when time was new. Ever since, I've been making shoes for fairy folk and guarding my gold from greedy people. Treasure hunters have to get up pretty early in the morning to get the best of Mackenzie O'Shamrock, and since leprechauns work at night and sleep during the day, I'm up much earlier than most. No, they haven't made the human who could outsmart me yet. Here he is guarding his gold. And you can tell that's a long time ago because the guy's wearing armor. We don't wear that anymore, do we? There's a squirrel hiding in his hole with him. And you can tell through the ages, none of these people have been able to get his gold. He's too smart. Then, people found a new way to boil my potatoes. They stopped believing in leprechauns. They believed in all sort of nonsense, but the little man making shoes beneath their very own hedge couldn't possibly exist. It got so only children and oddballs like Professor Chester believed in me. So that guy believes in him, but no one else does. I didn't need people anyway. I had a nice home under a tree in a quiet park. As long as I had my gold and my work, this leprechaun was content. Every night, I cobbled for the fairies. Since all the little things to do is dance and lose their shoes, business was steady. Every morning, I'd pack away my tools and curl up in my cozy bed. And that's just what I was doing one fine morning when I heard a horrible scratching overhead. Dirt poured down onto my favorite armchair as a pair of giant paws burst through the ceiling. My thimble collection clattered to the floor. I grabbed my hammer and ran outside to see who was wrecking my home. I expected a goblin or some other horrible monster. Look at this picture and make a prediction of who you think the horrible monster is that's wrecking his home. I found a shaggy red dog burying a stinky soup bone. Hello, she barked. Who are you? I'm Mackenzie O'Shamrock, I shouted, and you've got some nerve destroying my home. You'll not be stealing my gold, you mangy mortal, so just take your bone and go. She doesn't look like a mean dog. I'm sorry, I didn't realize anyone was living here, the dog said. Is that your gold? It's very pretty. Go! Shoo! Get lost, I shouted. The dog didn't budge. Shaking her head, she said, I feel terrible. I've got to make this up to you. I'll fix your house. I'll be your guard dog. I don't need a guard, I said. It's not treating that dog very nicely. But you must need a friend. Everyone needs a friend, the dog said. My name is Lucky. What's yours? That made me even madder. Mackenzie O'Shamrock, I yelled. Oh, that's right, you did tell me, Lucky replied. But that's so much to remember. May I just call you Mac? I hope we'll be friends. Everything's much more fun when you do it together, don't you think? Just the other day I think that if my dog could talk, this is what it would sound like. Just wants to be friends. Lucky would have gone on like this for hours, but I told her to go away and stay away. Apparently, stay was the only command the dog knew. From then on, wherever I went, there was Lucky. She was slobbering all over me when I woke up at dusk. She was on my heels when I gathered cobwebs for thread. It doesn't look like he's getting rid of Lucky that easily. Lucky even tailed me when I made my deliveries to the fairies. Remember, his job is to make shoes for the fairies. He's a cobbler, and a cobbler is someone who makes shoes. And she always had a cheerful word or 100. It drove me nuts. That dog was even happy when it rained. Rain is where rainbows come from, Lucky said. I love rainbows. Don't you? I could chase them all day. Why don't you go chase them so I can get some quiet around here, I growled. After a while, Lucky learned not to talk so much, especially when I first woke up in the evening. I won't say we became friends, but she got to be slightly less annoying. I think they're gonna become friends. Speaking of annoying, remember that human I mentioned a while back? The oddball who believed in leprechauns? That's right, Professor Chester. Well, he started snooping around my park. Uh-oh. Do you think he's gonna be discovered? He's after my gold, I cried. Maybe he just wants to be friends, Lucky suggested. I snorted. Humans want only one thing from leprechauns, gold, but he won't get the best of Mackenzie O'Shamrock. And I noticed that in this picture, Mackenzie is actually riding on top of Lucky, which makes me think, maybe they will start being friends. We'll find out. Professor Chester was getting dangerously close. He even found a fairy shoe. Don't worry, Mac, said Lucky. You've got your guard dog, remember? I won't let anything happen to your gold. I took no comfort in the mutt's ravings. I don't think he really trusts Lucky to help protect him. I watched Professor Chester poring over his books of leprechaun lore. If only I could prove their existence, he muttered. I shuddered. Maybe he'll just go away, Lucky said. I thought about packing up, but I liked my cozy life under the tree. Besides, business was good. It's not easy to find a park filled with fairies. Then, one day, while I was sleeping, the professor found my tree. He was about to capture me and would have gotten my gold for sure when... Make a prediction. What do you think's gonna happen? Here's the picture on one side. I'll open my book back up. Woof, woof. Lucky came charging out of the woods. The professor cried, "Help! Monster! Help!" He dropped his map and ran off screaming. I thought I was having a nightmare. I rolled over with a groan and fell right back to sleep. Professor Chester just kept running until he wore out the soles of his shoes. Turned out the professor was scared of dogs. Was your prediction right? Did you predict that Lucky would save him? That evening, I woke up feeling that something was wrong. For one thing, the dog wasn't licking my face. Suddenly, with a jerk, I remembered the nightmare. I checked for my gold and all my secret hiding places. It was gone, and so was Lucky. I called Lucky's name until my voice was hoarse, but there was no answer. I felt as if I had lost my shadow and my friend. Seems like he maybe realized what a good friend Lucky was. Then it hit me. My worst fear had come true. The dog wasn't as silly as she seemed. Lucky had duped me into trusting her. As soon as I let my guard down, she ran off with my gold. I, Mackenzie O'Shamrock, the smartest leprechaun of all, had finally been tricked out of my treasure. So I can tell in this picture that he's thinking that the dog stole his gold. And I can tell he's thinking it because these thought bubbles, the little bubble around him is showing me that's what he's thinking. Do you think that's actually what happened? I searched the park for hours, but there was no sign of my gold or of Lucky. I told myself the dog had skipped off with my treasure, but part of me didn't believe it. One minute I was furious, and the next I was worried. What if the poor pooch had chased a rainbow into traffic or gotten herself taken to the pound? I couldn't even keep my mind on my missing gold. He's looking some more. I think he's really, really missing Lucky. By dawn, I was the saddest leprechaun in the world. After centuries of being suspicious, I'd finally opened my heart and pow! The first friend I'd made had stolen my gold. The sun came up and I wiped away a tear. Then a voice behind me said, "Why are you crying?" Who do you think it is? I turned and saw Lucky and my gold. "Where were you?" I yelled. "I was worried sick." Lucky licked my face. "You do care. I knew we'd be friends." I wiped the dog slobber from my face and grumbled, I was worried about my gold." I think he was a little more worried about Lucky than he was his gold. I think he's tricking himself. Lucky explained that she'd seen Professor Chester nosing around near my tree, and after she'd chased him away, she'd hidden my treasure in the tool shed just to make sure it was safe. Then, worn out from excitement, she'd fallen asleep. "Did you really spend all night looking for me?" Lucky asked. "And the gold," I added hastily. But the damage was done. The dog knew I cared, and she wouldn't stop wagging her tail over it. Oh, how awful. She won't stop wagging her tail because she's his friend. So, there's my story. Leprechaun gets gold, leprechaun gets dog, leprechaun loses gold. Leprechaun admits that a loyal friend is worth more than gold, as long as the friend doesn't slobber too much. Now, if that isn't a tale worth telling upon a toadstool, I don't know what is. And that's the end of our story. I hope you guys liked it, and I will be back on tomorrow at 10 o'clock to read you another story. If you haven't been on it yet, get on Seesaw. I've been posting things on there for you guys, little assignments, and the kids who have been on there have been doing great. I miss you all, and I love you all, and I hope that you're having a great day. Bye, everyone.